Hello, everyone. Welcome to the micro training about completing your 2020 summer stats. My name is Donna Throckmorton, and I am the Library Services Consultant at the Arizona State Library and Project Manager of the Arizona Reading Program. Today, we are going to briefly go over the patron surveys that are available for your use, the whys of completing the summer reading evaluations, and the basics and what's new of the final ARP evaluation report. First off are the patron surveys, which are available for download at azlibrary.gov. To locate them on our state library website, go to azlibrary.gov and use the search toolbar and search for Arizona Reading Program. And then scroll down to the various summer reading patron surveys that are available for you to download and print. We have the Parent Caregiver Survey, the Participant Survey, a Spanish language survey, and a fun new Emoji Survey. The Emoji Survey is a great tool to gain some quick feedback about how your library participants enjoyed the summer reading program. It'd be great to print and include in your grab-and-go kits for library participants, or maybe as you do outreach events such as pop-up story times you may have at a park, or with your book bundles as you offer curbside service. So how and when to disperse your surveys? This year is definitely a unique one. We have all had to reimagine what our summer program will look like, and this includes gaining feedback from our library participants, especially if they're not coming to your building for programs. You will need to do a little planning to decide how to share them. Will you print paper copies to share with those who use curbside checkout? Or will you send it out using an online survey tool? If you plan to use a paper survey, you can download the paper survey from azlibrary.gov. You could ask them to bring them back the next time they return books, or maybe have a drop box where they can leave them outside your library. We recognize that response rates and participation numbers are going to be quite different this year, and that you will probably get a smaller percentage of returned surveys. Please don't stress over this. Try to share as many surveys as you can, using a method that will reach the most participants. We just want to get a little feedback to see what we can learn from this summer. I have created an online survey using Google Forms. If this is something that you would like to use, I'm happy to share a copy with you that you can customize for your library. If you are in the Maricopa County Library system, or participating in Maricopa County Reads, the patron survey is already included in the Great Reading Adventure software and will be done at a system level, so you don't have to worry about this. For the others, you can create your own online survey using your preferred online survey tool. You can even add questions. We just ask that you keep the format of the questions exactly the same. You can add specific information for your library, or share the link to your survey through your social media sites or through Read Squared email. So why do we do what we do? With social distancing still the norm for many Arizona communities, libraries are stepping up with alternative methods of encouraging summer reading and learning even during a pandemic. Libraries continue to serve their community with innovative programs. Summer reading programs are an effective and fun way to combine reading and learning activities into summer family time. Every summer, kids lose a portion of what they learned in the previous school year. This is what we refer to as the summer slide. This year, it may be even more of an issue due to schools closing early in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So we collect summer reading evaluations to demonstrate the value your library provides to your communities in creating summer programming. We recognize libraries nourish creativity, foster a love of reading, serve the underserved, and that libraries open the minds of readers through diverse reading materials. The School Library Journal conducted a survey and found that 66.5% of participants surveyed planned on providing an online summer reading program this year. And this required us to change some of the questions we ask on the final evaluation. So today we're going to talk about a few of those. What's new on the final ARP evaluations? And a few basics for those that may be completing this form for the first time this year. Section 1 is your library information. Section 2 is about state library resources and how they helped you serve your community. Section 3 is about reading minutes and the number of participants that track their reading minutes. How many kids, teens, and adults participated using a reading log or online tracking. Section 4 is about events. We love hearing about all of the fun learning and literacy events you provide for your community. And this year, many of you are being very creative in providing virtual events. Section 5 is about your library operations. What is different about your summer program this year? Are you providing grab and go kits? Was your library closed for all or part of the summer? Did you provide curbside service? How did your library adapt to meet the needs of your community this year? Section 6 is a section where you record the rolled up numbers from your summer reading patron surveys. This year, the ARP final evaluation will be reported online. The open-ended questions will have a little more space for you to share your stories and experiences with the State Library. Here are the two questions as part of the State Library resources. It is about your satisfaction with the materials and supplies that the State Library provides. We are a member of the Collaborative Summer Library Program, which produces the theme, artwork, promotional materials, and manual. We use IMLS funds to purchase these supplies, and therefore we must report on their value to you. In Section 3, Registration and Reading Minutes, this section might be a little confusing, so I'm going to spend a few extra minutes on it. The top section is broken down by age category, total number of participants that tracked reading online or on a paper reading log, and their total number of reading minutes. Go ahead and enter how many children, how many teens, and how many adults tracked reading minutes in any format, including online or paper reading log. And then enter the total number of reading minutes for each age category. We encourage libraries to track reading minutes because it levels the playing field. If a participant is a slow reader or a fast reader, they are getting credit for the amount of effort they've put forth during the summer. The second part of Section 3, I ask you to share how your participants track their reading. If all of your participants used Read Squared, enter the total number of participants in the top line, including all age groups. If part of them used a paper reading log and a small number used Read Squared or another online platform, please share that with us in this section. If you are part of Maricopa County Reads or you used another online tracking app software, you would use the second line. For example, you have a hybrid program. Some of your participants used paper and some of your participants only used the online software because they never left their homes all summer long. No matter what method they use to track their reading minutes, enter them by age category in the first part of the section. You could count the children together, the teens together, and the adults together, and then enter the total number of participants broken down by the method they use to keep track of their reading minutes in the second half of Section 3. Most of you are using an online platform of some kind. If your library has gone completely online for your summer program, this section is easy. But if you are running a hybrid program, or what I like to call an a la carte program, where your patrons get to choose between paper or online, then a little more math is involved. I would recommend you get together with your team. Maybe it's just you, or perhaps you have a team, and decide on a method you will use year after year. When you decide how to count participation, this gets a little muddy, and every library is different. Is it everyone that registered online? Is it everyone that turned in a reading log or picked up a reading log? Is it anyone that recorded some amount of reading minutes? You will need to decide with your team. Now you might ask, we passed out paper reading logs and they also entered all of their reading minutes online. Is this considered an online program or a paper reading program? I would count this as online. Just consider where you pull your participation stats from. If you go to the online software to pull all of your stats, then it would be considered either the Read Squared, another online software program. If you count up reading logs, then it would be considered reading logs. If in doubt, shoot me an email and I'm happy to help you come up with a threshold to determine participation and what method they used to record their reading minutes. In section 4, we're going to talk about events. Now, I want to clarify some of the terms I use in the summer reading program. Evaluation. A summer reading program includes all of the events that encompass your summer reading program. Events are specific activities that you do. We understand that this year, most libraries are not holding in-person events, so we wanted to add a line to record virtual events. This is the section I recently revised to simplify itself slightly. IMLS has announced the additional questions they will be using in the annual public library survey, so I wanted to align the summer reading survey as closely as possible. I was leaning towards breaking out the recorded versus live virtual events, as previously IMLS only tracked live virtual programs. But with the new information I have learned, and you can contact Chris Guerra for more information regarding the annual public library survey, I think we can keep it simple to include both recorded and live events into one stat for summer reading purposes. The following information only applies to summer reading stats, and if it conflicts with your internal procedures of how you measure virtual programs, please use your library's internal procedures, as long as you remain consistent all summer long and from year to year. For virtual events, the number in attendance would include how many unique views or peak viewers you had. Please only count your event once. If it was originally shared live but then posted to YouTube, that would be one event. You can also add views of the recorded version that occurred throughout your summer program to your numbers for the live event to come up with the number of participants. So virtual number for attendance equals live views plus recorded views over the summer months. Within the months that your summer library program is running. So most libraries run their program June and July. So those are the months you would include as your number of participants who viewed your event, either live or recorded. If your virtual event was only shared as a recorded event, that's easy. Views over the weeks of your summer program count towards your number of participants. Hopefully by the end of this summer, some of you will also be able to hold small in-person events, and you can also record them here. Do not include grab and go kits here. Those are something else. They're not events. So go ahead and just enter virtual or in-person events that you hold. Section 5 is about library operations. Was your library building closed? Was your library building open for part of the summer? We want to hear about it. If you provided curbside or other virtual services, but no one came into your building, I would consider that as your library was closed. And this question here only asks if your library closed for any period during your summer program. So I'm assuming that almost every library was closed during the summer months. If your library was open for browsing or computer use, library by appointment for June and July, and those were the months that you had summer programming, then you would consider it open. Section 6 is the place where you can total up your patron surveys and report it here. I do not need copies of your paper surveys, and if you share your patron surveys virtually, totaling this up will be really easy. Just remember to separate the two surveys. The top section includes a parent or caregiver survey. So they would be completing the survey on behalf of their child or dependent. The bottom section is if for those that complete the survey for themselves. Things to remember this year. Make your internal decisions and strive for consistency from year to year and throughout the summer. I would recommend that you write down your technique for gathering stats. Keep track of it. Perhaps someone new is tasked with keeping summer reading stats next year. If you have a record of your methods for tracking participation and virtual events, it will be a big help to ensure the data is comparable and consistent from year to year. When you're thinking about your virtual events, keep copyright in mind. The School Library Journal has created a helpful directory of publishers, copyright guidelines, and permissions. The surveys and worksheets that we discussed today are available online at azlibrary.gov. An official online report will be emailed to each library's summer reading contact and will be due by August 31st, 2020. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I hope your summer is safe and healthy.